Namaste and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sat means truth, Logos means a study or science, Sattology means a science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means a study of fake lie imagination or science of fake lie or imagination. It is very unfortunate to call somebody else's history as mythology when you know very well that the facts are against you. This is the situation with the Western academics. And I always target the Western academics because even today, the colonization or colonized mindset, colonizers' mindset is still very rampant in the Western academics. A fake sense of superiority is always maintained because they think that's how they will be able to sell more products. If the whole world thinks that they are superior, then they will be able to sell more. That is a colonial mindset. And that is gradually getting debunked within USA also when there is a anti-supremacist movements and outside the world also. And the country which was targeted the most was the land of Hindus, Bharat, because this was the only civilization which could counter the academic inaptitude of Western civilization or academic hollowness of Western academics. The West, we all know, has plagiarized a lot of information and they created IPRs, intellectual property rights, on the basis of foreign knowledge sources. So I have a very, very special guest who has done an excellent research work and he's a writer, he's a speaker, analyst on these topics. So without delay, let us welcome Sri Prashant Pole. Very welcome to the show again, Prashantji. So one of the things which we are discussing today is the fabrics. And I can tell you one thing, the most expensive fabric in USA is the Indian fabric. It is known for quality and also the prints. So if you go to any fashion store or upper class Americans, they will wear jari, they will wear all kinds of weaving, which is design, intricate designs, especially amongst women. It's very, very popular. And also in the suits, the best cloth in Armani's, and they write Italian stamp, but fabric is coming from India because the cotton is Indian cotton is the best. And the cloth, the Brooks Brothers and other places, I personally, when I go to buy those suits, I make sure that the fabric, from the feel of the fabric, I can make out it's India or not. Because the Egyptian cotton is very thin, it can break very easily. Indian cotton is sturdy and soft. That is a very good quality. But unfortunately, in India, the BT cotton by Monsanto and the GM crops has resulted in the degradation of the quality. Now, we'll come that later on, but first I want to hear from you the the entire story about the fabric. And so please share what is your view here.
Yes, good. Aditya, as you rightly said, the quality, as you rightly mentioned about the Indian fabric, Indian cotton, to be more precise. And this is how in the 21st century we say that it's having a great quality, good quality and all. But way back in 5,000 years, 6,000, 7,000 years back, even then, Indian fabric was the best in the world. India was exporting its fabric, its textiles over the entire world. And we do have the records from the first century onward, almost. Professor Angus Medicine, I always like to quote him. When he gave the figures, in the first century, Indian contribution to the world economy was one third, around 23%. Interesting portion is that out of that one third of the entire world economy, the exports from India were one third were from this textile. So Indian textile was very well accepted worldwide, and not only accepted, people were crazy for it. And considering the status, the level. If anyone wears or anyone has the Indian textile or Indian fabric, Indian cotton, Indian cloths, he's supposed to have certain status in those days. So all the kings, queens, and in those days the rich people, they were really crazy for such kind of cloth, and that's why not only in Europe but in the eastern part, up to the Japan, the Indian cloths were very well appreciated. Reason is India is basically known for its textile industry since long, more than 5,000 years back. Whatever we have found in the Harappan civilization, therein we found the cloth, we found uh, various fabrics and all, and the quality even today when we got it was much better, much fine. The cotton or the textile that goes up to the Rigveda days. In Rigveda, in the second mandal, it was mentioned that sage Grutsman, sage Grutsman has planted the cotton seeds. He then got that cotton from the tree, that cotton tree, and then with that he tried to make it, or he made this with the spindles and all the threads, and with the threads he made the cloth or the fabric. So making a fabric from a cotton, that was known to the Indians long back, even in the, as I said, the Rigved era, and Rigved is much older. We all are aware about it. Definitely around 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years back. That's quite certain. And whatever we get the testimonials, proofs, and all in various excavation and at various places, we found that whatever the quality of cloth we get from there is a super quality, good quality. So we had the wooden spindle. We knew that those days the technology of that. So through the wooden spindle, whatever the raw thread is there in Sanskrit, it's called tantu. So through that tantu, we create that cloth. That because specific technology was there. And as I said that, what we get the various examples about it, they're even long. The first century also, whatever the written proof I can say. In the first century, the Roman author Petronius, he had written in Satyricon that the Indian cloths were so fine, so superb, that everyone would like to have those cloths. So that history comes from there. And in totally Arthashastra was also there, which has mentioned about it, which was before the Christ. If we talk about much later, that is relatively latest kind of testimonial, then Dr. Stanley Wilford. So Stanley Wilford is a professor in history in University of California. He said that what he's saying, he wrote some books, and when he is saying that India is the home of the textile industry worldwide. Indian thought that how the textile could be made, how a fine textile could be made, and cotton clothes were introduced by India to the world. So it was Indian who have introduced this cotton clothes to the entire world. Professor D.P. Singhal, he says that the spinning wheel was a gift to the world by Indians. So it is all everyone is saying that Indians have this technology, Indians were aware about this, and it's the first time the world Indians have introduced how cloth, how fabric could be made from a simple cotton. So that's basically the history, rich history of the rich cotton of India.
The very famous story of Greeks wearing one cloth, large cloth. and most of that cloth used to come from the eastern direction. They mention in their history also. So Greeks also mention it, Romans also recorded it. And today the mindset is created that made in Italy suits and made in, the cloth is all Indian. Just the suits are made over there. So what is the, you spoke rightly about the spindle. India invented the spindle. What are the other technologies which India focused on in the weaving, at least in the area, the weaving?
Yes. I think the most important part, as already pointed out, is the how the quality of Indian cloth was maintained or was much superior than others in the entire world. That was one of the factors was thread count. What is this? What is this thread count? This thread count is basically number of threads which are there in the 1 square inch. In 1 square inch, how many threads are there? That basically decides as a thread count. Now, today's thread count, if we go through the a good quality, super fine quality of the fabric or cloth, it's generally find at 600. But even we talk beyond that, that very fine threads can produce higher thread count. So with one ply cotton sheet, we're talking about the excellent, very good and all. So with one ply cotton sheet, the thickness of cotton fiber limits the maximum thread count to 1600, 1600. So maximum today with the latest technology, with a lot of equipment, modern equipment, gadgets, we could make a kind of a cloth fabric which has a thread count of around 1600 maximum. However, Sir Joseph Back, he has written that whatever the cloth he has received, which was made of muslin, muslin is basically malmal, we call it, muslin, that was having thread count of 2425. Now let's understand the thread count of 2425 without using any modern machinery, only manual work. So how a precision could be, they're achieved by Indians in making this kind of fabrics, and that's quite interesting. Let me quote Professor James Carer. Professor James Carer has written an excellent book. This book is Cotton as a World Power. This was written in 1916, so much later. So, in 1916 book, there are some chapters, some portions. One of the portion is from India. There are two parts rather. One part is from India to England. That was first part. In this first part, he has a chapter called Hindu Skill. Hindu Skill is the heading. And therein what he writes, and I quote Professor James Carer, thousands of years before the invention of cotton machinery in Europe, Hindu jinns were separating fiber from seed. Hindu wheels were spinning the lint into yarn, and frail Hindu looms weaving these yarns into textile. Unquote. In page 19, he has mentioned this. Professor James Carer. He's mentioned about Hindu wheels and Hindu yarn and Hindu spindle and all. Because it was basically all Hindu technology. And that was thousands of years back. So the world was not aware how they manufacture these textiles, these fabrics. And therefore, a large portion of the export from India to various countries was from this textile, from this fabric, from this cotton. In fact, cotton was not known to the world. It was, as I said earlier, was introduced, invented sort of by Indians. Because in the Europe and all, they were aware about the woolen cloth, but not aware about the cotton. And that's where the Indian had code initially. John Tavernier was basically a trader. He was a trading in James. So he traveled a lot in Persia, those days it was called Persia, this Iran, today's Iran, and India. This I'm talking about the 17th century, second part of the 17th century. In 1660, he had written that the cloth is so delicate. So he quoted some example that when one ambassador from Persia, I mean, those days, 17th century, these countries like Persia and other countries, they used to depute their ambassadors in India in Mughal, with the Mughal empire and all. So when one ambassador went back to Iran, that's Persia, he presented a coconut to his sultan, his king, and all were surprised. In his darbar, all were surprised that, oh, this ambassador he took only one coconut and giving as a gift to the sultan. He just said that, okay, just open it, that coconut, just open it. When they opened it, the sultan found that there was a very fine Muslim cloth in that coconut, and that was length of that was 230 yards. 230 yards of Muslim cloth only in a coconut. Such a delicate, such a smooth, very nice, delicate kind of cloth he had carried. So that was the beauty. That's how the weavers could make this fabric. And Wilkins from of East India Company. Wilkins was basically an officer in East India Company. When he went back to England and gave some clothes to Sir Joseph Batt, he gave that cloth, which was 5 yards and 7 inches. 5 yards is, I think, 15 feet and 7 inches. When he literally weighted that, the weight of that, it was 34.3 grains. This means that 2 grams. You can imagine a cloth of 15 feet, 7 inches, 15 and a half feet cloth, and it weighs only 2 grams. That's such a beauty of the Indian cloth we used to have. I can quote another example of Sir George Birdwood. Sir George Birdwood, he wrote a book called The Industrial Art of India, wherein he wrote that 15 gauge long and 1 gauge wide of muslin cloth weighs only 1 gram. So, like that, there are hundreds of examples we can find. The cloth, the fabric was so smooth, so delicate that it could go through a simple wedding ring, within a wedding ring, and still it is fine, nice. You won't find all the scratches and all on that cloth. Cloth quality was excellent, and that was seen long back, so many years back. So that's how Indian weavers had that precision. And I always put forward this point that India was quite after the precision, the quality. And therein India scored worldwide. That Indian quality of the Indian goods was excellent, excellent. And they were always after the precision. So it was not only in goods, it was not only in kind of creating various architectural and all, everywhere. Whether it's a building a simple small temple, whether it is making the courseware for the education system, whether it is basically making a university or making a cloth, textile, or even while they were trading, were sending, exporting their goods, the kind of packing they used to do. In Berenike excavation, they found that the Indian, I mean, there was a bag they found wherein some Indian black pepper and some batik print, cloth was there. That batik print cloth with some design and all, excellent design, that was there. And when they found out, the excavation took place after 1995. In 1996, 1997, they found it. And that this Berenike port was closed around, I think, third or fourth century. So it was much deep. And when they did the carbon dating, it was in the first century. So almost 2000 years old, that butter print cloth was so nicely packed and kept there that it was still look like a fresh. And that's kind of a quality production of textile and fabric Indian used to have in those days. And that's, I think, the beauty of Indian weavers in those thousands years back, thousands years back.
No, India has always produced the best cotton, and Indian cotton is known world over. Like even today, the most expensive cloth outside India is the Indian cloth. Indian workmanship, Indian cloth. The jari is one of the very popular in the West. Very expensive. Like if you go to the in the top stores
Mhm.
in California, the most expensive ones is the Indian cloth. Rest all of the cloth, and also the cloth which sports people wear generally. Nowadays, it has come with a dry fit.
Mm.
Dry fit is a Nike brand which is does that, which also uses Indian cotton. Again, Indian cotton was designed to be dry in summer. That is a natural
Mhm.
quality. And so, do you think the Monsanto and other people have affected the quality of the Indian cotton?
Certainly, you are right on the point that the basic breed of Indian cotton having this quality. I mean, everyone was talking about the quality, performance, and uh, everything about this Indian cotton. That is because of the pure Indian cotton, the original Indian cotton had all these uh, kind of there. Everything was there. Unfortunately, when this hybrid Monsanto and all, they tried to put this BT cotton and all, it might probably give little more yield initially, but ultimately it is destroying the actual original breed of Indian cotton, and that is how it is deteriorating the quality of Indian cotton. As you precisely and rightly said and pointed out, that Indian cotton is basically good in such kind of dry weathers and summer weathers and all. The cotton is basically known for that, and that's why the entire world was using that Indian cotton. If one is hammering that quality itself, that the original tendency of that cotton, if that is not there, then uh, the very meaning of Indian cotton to use in such kind of environment or atmosphere or weather, then it might not really sustain properly. So yes, I agree with you that with this BT cotton and all, the original real Indian cotton quality is degraded, and India has to bring back its original nature of the Indian cotton. That is required, that is must.
Now, in the history of the Indian fabric, in fabric, India has been the best, but the Manchester industry from UK, in the name of Industrial Revolution, how much damage did to the Indian farmers, Indian artisans who work on cloths, finished cloths? Was there a tradition of wearing a finished cloth in the ancient India?
Yes, in ancient India had this kind of a thing that people used to wear the finished cloths and all. It was there, and this point is very important. That Britishers have destroyed or tried to destroy. I didn't say that they totally destroyed, but they certainly tried to destroy the Indian textile industry at a much larger extent. And instead of saying anyone else about this, one of the best books in this context one should read, and that book is Consideration of Indian Affairs. That book was wrote in the initial stages. This Britishers did much wrong and illegal things much later. But this book was written in 1772. In 1772, Britishers had their control in a very specific area of India, that is in only Bengal. But those days, the Bengal was today's Bangladesh, today's West Bengal of India, then Bihar and part of Orissa. They all were, they used to come under the Bengal. So after winning the 1757 War of Plassey, when Britishers got the control of that entire Bengal, they tried to destroy the Indian textile industry because they knew that wherein the strength of India lies. So they tried to destroy it. And this book, Consideration of Indian Affairs, which was written in 1772, that basically talks about this. But as I said, that is in an early stage. 57, they have won the battle. They started putting their control. And the book was written in 1772. So not only many years have been passed, but even in that little short span of time, how Britishers have tried to destroy the Indian industry. That was very nicely described by William Boltz. In a page 194 of this book, very interestingly, he has put with the proper example. Again, I would like to highlight that this book was written in 1772. He wrote that the Britishers have cut the thumb and the fingers of the skilled Indian weavers so that they shouldn't manufacture, they shouldn't make this fine, super fine quality of the cloth, fabric, the muslin and all. And deliberately they did that. And you can imagine when they've just got the control of only one area, they did that. So what they might have done after so many years, because Britishers were aware that strength of Indian textile industry. They knew that Indian textiles were exported worldwide, even in South and East and West, in both the directions. So when Britishers came to India in 1608, then 1608 in the year, when they came to India in Surat, they set up their first first textile mill in year 1613. 1613 in South, that Machilipatnam. Machilipatnam in those days was known for making a very superfine quality of the fabric, cloth, and that's why they have set up there. India had this textile industry not concentrated on only one place. It was there in the Madurai, that's in southern part, in Patan, that was in Gujarat, western part, in Surat, again in western part. Even Surat has this textile industry, even today, the traditional industry, even today it's there. Then the Maheshwar much later, Ahilyabai Holkar have set up excellent, area and infrastructure for fine quality of some Indian cloth and all. So Maheshwar is there in near Indore. Then Varanasi, yes, Varanasi was also one of the major area. So almost the entire, whether it's the south or north, whether it's east or west, entire part of the country was having this textile manufacturing facility. But prominently was Bengal. And in a Bengal, the muslin of Dhaka ki Malmal, they used to call it, very well known, very famous. And those days, the various kings and various other they used to they feel very having a status symbol if they are wearing the or if they are having this Muslim of Dhaka. So they were quite known about it. It's a Hindu Muslim also they used to call it. So that the Dhaka and the Bengal textile industry was quite famous worldwide in that sense as an Indian thing. But what then Britishers did, as I said, that they very it was cruelty, very cruel manner. They tried to destroy these handlooms and all, and they tried to make it a kind of a point that Indian fine weavers to make it possible to manufacture these kind of cloth and all. Sir Edward Benz in 1835, much later, he was he wrote a book. He was basically editor, and he was member of parliament in British parliament also. He wrote a book called History of Cotton Manufacturers. Therein he has mentioned that the kind of some cloths which are manufactured in India, made in India, were such that one cannot believe that they are made by human beings. They cannot be made by human beings. That's what he is writing. That that kind of quality. So Britishers wanted to somehow stop this. They wanted to sell their product in India. So initially, when Britishers came to India, I can say that at the time of Plassey War and all, during the time, the export share of Indian textile, the overall export share from India, the share of textile was 25%, one fourth that time. From one third, it came down to one fourth, but one fourth share was there. When and not when Britishers went, but in the year 1850, between 1850 1855, before 1857 first war, independence war. Before that, the share of textile, the entire export, was only 3%. So we can imagine that how Britishers have tried to brought it down from 25% of total share in the export to only 3% of the total share. So they deliberately did it. What they did, they wanted to make the textile as their industry business in Britain. Now they knew that they didn't have the weaver, they didn't have the traditional knowledge and all. So they knew that they cannot manufacture such superfine quality of cloth, fabric, and absolutely not such kind of cloth wherein the Indian weavers used to weave through gold and silver on the cotton. And that was something great, amazing kind of cloths were there. And those could be, those could afford only by the kings in India, kings in Europe, and everywhere. So they knew that they couldn't compete with that. So what they did, they tried to illegally stop this. So initially, before Plassey War, they were buying the Indian textiles in pound and British pounds, and they were selling those same textile to the Europe. So they were making money out of that. They were traders, naturally, they were traders. But when they won the Plassey War, they got the control of this Bengal. They stopped and paying in British pounds. They started paying in the local currency. And we know that when the local currency you are paying, naturally, the whole equation changes. It's not as favorable as in the earlier scenario. Slowly, what they did, they tried to impose the taxes in Britain for the Indian textile, much higher taxes, wherein the taxes for anything, any textile, any fabric which was manufactured in Britain was having only 5% tax. And if Indian cloth goes to Britain, the tax percentage varies from 30 to 35%. Then what they did, they tried to make some kind of machines, because they knew that human being can't, the British can't weave like Indians did that. They knew that. So they tried to make the machine. And they tried to make it. And when Indians wanted to import those machines, the tax was very heavy. So you can't even import the machine, initial stage. So they tried to see that somehow you can't make it in a mass production, which they tried to do it. So you can't do it in a mass production. You can't manufacture properly with the hand weaver and handlooms and all. And as regards to export is concerned, you can export some other countries wherein British didn't have any control. But wherein British had the control, like Britain and other colonies wherein they were ruling, the import tax for importing Indian cloth fabrics was much higher. So somehow they wanted to see that the Indian textile industry has to almost close down. They tried their best. But cotton, pure cotton, original cotton, was the strength of India. And they knew that even if they can make the fabric there in Britain or elsewhere, the cotton has to be from India. The kind of the weather, kind of atmosphere, and kind of the seeds, the cotton seeds which India used to have, the traditional quality of the cotton, they knew that they can't have that. So they used to get that import the Indian cotton to Britain. When in US, in America, they started, growing cotton and all. They started importing in Britain as well as in India, but the quality was not same. The quality of Indian cotton was much better than the quality of the American cotton. So those days, the American cotton, Indian cotton, and all that kind of war was there. But Indians didn't have any control. The entire control was with the British. So India can't say anything. I mean, India couldn't play any role in the total business, total trade of this textile industry, and that was the unfortunate part of it.
See, one of the things of Mahatma Gandhi's one movement, which I really liked and good for, was burning the Manchester-based cloths. And Manchester became rich because of India, not because of Manchester. Cotton doesn't grow in Britain. And so they finished the artisan industry in India, the cloth making industry in India, clothes making industry in India. And they just kept the fabric and raw cotton in India. So that was a good movement by Mahatma Gandhi to burn all the Western clothes. The khadi word, where does that origin? Like, what is your research on khadi?
Okay, good, good point. Unfortunately, I didn't have much of the research on the khadi, surprising, but the khadi is basically any common man can make its own cloth. That's basically the concept or idea of Mahatma Gandhi. Yes, there are the professional weavers, there are the handlooms and all, wherein the as an industry, khadi used to be there. But Gandhiji was in favor of decentralization. Gandhiji was in favor of making swavalambi. Swavalambi means you have to do everything of your own. You can do it. So one can make, one can manufacture its own cloth required for daily usage. And therein the concept of khadi came, wherein everyone with a proper the spindle wheel and all can make that first from the cotton, can make the thread, from thread can have little the thing, small simple loom can make a little cloth and all, and with the cloth he can wear. So it may not, because naturally a common person, how can he have that a skill of making a very good quality of the product? That's fine. But he said that that's fine. Every time the quality doesn't really matter. A Swavalambi person, the person who can make on its own, can do its own cloth and all. And that's why he has promoted khadi, wherein khadi, and again I say that khadi is basically that I can create on my own cloth with this. That's basically called khadi. And that movement took a really great momentum during this, independence struggle and all. And people were after khadi, and they were really trying. And there was a real great threat to the this Manchester industries, Manchester factories, and all, that their major market was really not as major as earlier when this in the freedom struggle this khadi was entered. And those days it was a fashion. It was again a kind of status that yes, I'm wearing khadi. So that was a proud moment that yes, I'm wearing khadi and all. So as you rightly said, yes, that was a very good movement by Gandhiji, that yes, a khadi could be a cloth which anyone can create and make at his or her residence and can wear that. And that's basically that inner beauty, inner wellness of that is much better. That's what Gandhiji felt.
You know, like in Maharashtra, we have Jhunka Bhakar, very
Yes.
common, and which is very common, which is for North Indians, it is dal roti, is Jhunka Bhakar. But uh, the khadi is known to, like nowadays, even the jeans are being made. I went to one khadi bhandar many years back. There's even the jeans is being made over there. But for the Indian weather, the ideal cloth, the ideal uh, dress is dhoti kurta is very comfortable for the Indian weather. It's very comfortable also. But and I'm asking out of the topic right now. Uh, so, do you think that there is a need to bring, because now it has become fashionable also? Some fashion designers have made dhoti into an art now. Like it looks very fashionable. Do you think that the Indians have to come up with their own version of dressing sense, which is suitable for India? Like wearing a tight jeans in India is impractical, but in America is very practical because cold weather. And also Americans are generally lazy. They don't like to wash their clothes every day.
Uh, I think your point is very correct. Unfortunate part is we all have the colonized mind. So in a colonized mind, we simply follow what the Britishers have kept sort of culture to us, gave the culture to us, and we felt that because they ruled us, in back of the mind, we felt that yes, whatever they are doing, that's great, that's best. We didn't think that what is best for our weather, for our environment, atmosphere, and all. Like these days, even a very small school in a village, if you go in a primary school, the students are really from the not very good families, poor families, but they all are wearing tie because wearing tie is a symbol that yes, you are something great. That's a colonized mind, very unfortunate part of it. And that's why, until and unless this colonized mind get refreshed, detoxification, like decolonization of Indian minds is there, till the time it's very difficult for that. This fashion trends used to come and go. So this dhoti kind of fashion trend may come and go. But one thing is very good that apart from this fashion trends and all, the many Indians have felt that yes, we should have our own comfortable wearing. So they wear the pajama, they wear this kurta, they wear this dhoti and all, which is a good kind of uh, textile or good kind of clothes for Indian weather. And that's genuinely people started flowing because their decolonization has started. And the way it is more and more decolonization, like other countries who have a very proud of their own national dress, we will also feel very proud of the national dress. Uh, a very small example I would like to quote. Long back, around 25 years back, I went to Bangkok, and that hotel when I went there, one seminar I went, it was a seven-star hotel, wherein the chopper can, the chopper was there on the thing through the chopper was there in the terrace, and you can through chopper you can go to the airport and all. Very big hotel and all, seven-star hotel. When I just was doing the check-in, the bellboy had come with a dhoti, with ration dhoti and then some coat and all. So while we were going in my room, I asked him, I said, what is this? He said very proudly, sir, this is my national dress. This is a decolonized mind. He is proud of his own national dress in a seven-star hotel. Unfortunately, unfortunately. In India, if you wear a dhoti and go to any five-star hotel, unfortunately, the mindset is totally different. But that's changing. That's what I'm sure that it's changing. Yes.
I came many years back. I came to India with a American team, with
Mhm.
my business team, and the moment they came in India, and generally Americans, they always follow non-British traditions. So if the British
Uh-huh.
wears a tie, Americans won't wear a tie. And I have a joke: when an American is constipated, he sounds just like British. So So this team, very good friend of mine, he lives in Singapore now.
Mhm.
Told me one thing. It's such a hot weather. Why should we wear a tie? Now I'll tell you one example of California. California, if you wear a suit and tie, so they ask you, are you going to a marriage or to attend a court hearing? So the concept of comfortable wear, uh, you know, is very important, because if you're comfortable, then you can be normal. If you're not comfortable, then you will be uneasy. And if you go to Philippines, they wear gurung, which is looks like a kurta, and which is very much like kurta. So the easy wear, because of hot weather, which is very much needed in Indian context. And I think the mind, you said correctly, it's a colonized mindset where anything Western is considered better, and that's why we have not seen brands like Armani and brands like Levi's and emerging from India so far with the Indian fashion. Do you think there's a reason? What is the reason according to you for that?
No, it we just discussed that it is basically a colonized mind. Uh, because which they should also come out with the traditional dress, traditional in the sense that which are comfortable for this weather. Uh, they knew that the mindset is colonized. So if they feel that if they come out with some Indian traditional dress, it is a D-rated kind of thing. So entire their image is may not be same as this, and it may be D-rated or something like that. Probably that might be the thing. The moment the decolonization is there in Indian minds, and Indians will proudly say, "Yes, this is my dress, and I will wear it." Believe me, Armani will also come out with dhoti, kurta, and all. They have to come out because they have to do the business in India, and they will do it. I'm damn sure about it. They will do it one day.
And I don't want to be anti males right now, but my observation and my observation is very limited. I hardly interact much socially, but other than the media and other places and writing mostly, I've seen that Indian women follow more traditions than Indian men, according to me, and I give them a full credit for that. Even I have seen Indian American, or Hindu American women in the USA wearing saris in most of the public occasions. We have not seen men doing that yet. Men, we have to, and I myself will be accused of that also sometimes. But the problem is we don't see that happening, and it can be many practical reasons also. You don't want to be stand out in a gathering, but what is the reason for that? But at least in India, we have seen that more women follow more Indian dressing than Indian men.
I agree with you. In between, there was a trend to wear more and more Western outfit. They used to call it Western outfit. And Western outfit is something modern. That's the mindset. Something is Western, that's modern. Modernization without Westernization, that is, every modern concept is not Westernization. That basically really went inside or penetrated inside the Indian mind, unfortunately, so far. But that was a trend, as I said. But since last few years, I found that there is a proud of wearing the Indian saris, and that's also very traditional, conventional nine gaj saris and all of also there. So with saris, with very traditional jewelry and all, and then the women also realize that yes, because of that, it's a different kind of beauty, and that is also get attracted in the uh, this TV shows and other this kind of industry. And therefore, now women trend slowly. It's not a fashion trend as such, but I am damn sure that slowly, what are the comfortable wearing is there, but of the Indian outfit, it will go there. I'm sure about
Some people they say, and I'll bring here Ramayana Mahabharata inside here. Sri Ram used to wear a dhoti and used to wear a chadar mentioned there, and he used to wear kavach on the legs, in arms, and on the shoulders and the chest on top of it, chadar and everything. The same was the dressing sense of Pandava and most of the Mahabharat warriors. And generally, if you see to ride a horse, dhoti is a better option if it is tightly done, because
Yes,
you cannot ride a horse in a pant or a jeans. It is very uneasy. If you wear a jeans, you have to wear very loose jeans. But
yes,
dhoti is very ideal for the horse also and for you also, for
correct.
generally. So it is a wrong notion being spread that how can I ride a, if you can ride a horse, you can ride a motorbike also. So it's very easy. It's the same concept there. But but for a horse, because the back is wide, so you have to have very loose on the top. So dhoti, that's why the chudidar was invented, so that chudidar can easily fit into a horse, on a horse. Most of the warriors wore that. And recently, I think Prime Minister Modi has popularized the Modi jacket, which was very common, like a kavach or a vest. That's how you wear the thing. But because we don't wear kavach nowadays, no need generally. But still, so do you think the the wrong notions of history are being taught, that it is not practical, it is not easy to wear, or just because some people don't know how to tie a dhoti? That's also a reason. Well, I know very well. I've worn it for many years.
Same with me. I also wear dhoti. I do every day puja and all with dhoti and all. Yes, I mean, basic point is, again, I say, again, I go back there, is a colonized mind. The mindset is made that, yes, it may not be good for us, it may not be comfortable and all. We feel wearing a tie in a, in a summer, in a heat and all, is comfortable. Wearing a sort of semi-woolen pant or pant and then tight shirt and all, jeans and all, that is quite comfortable. But wearing a dhoti, wearing a pajama, kurta and all is not comfortable. That is something, a, biased mind, colonized mind and all. But there is a detoxification is going on, as I said that. And slowly the trend is coming. As I said.
Yeah. Prashantji, thank you. Anything did I miss out on the fabric history? Can you please, if I
No, I
missed out
think we have
anything?
covered almost all the points.
Mhm.
Basically, you know, uh, we were, we rather introduced the cotton textile in the world, number one. Number two is that we were number one in the world. We were exporting our textile. People were crazy to wear the Indian fabric and literally crazy for that. Indian muslin or Indian cotton fabric and all were much super fine than compared to any other part of the world. Nowhere it was manufactured like that. Indian cotton, original cotton, has a much better quality, which is still up to some extent is maintained. Unfortunately, Britishers tried to destroy this rich and flourishing cotton industry or textile industry up to certain part of span of the years. But again, Indians are trying to regain it. Indians have their own factories, mills, manufacturing, and all. So, and at the same time, the decolonization is also happening, and that will create a kind of too proud of our own traditional dresses and all. That is going to happen. That's what I.
Thank you so much, Prashantji. It's a real pleasure always to talk to you. I learned something new. And also for all the viewers who are watching it, do let us know your feedback. That is very important. Most of the shows are purely educational in nature, but I do bring in the follies of the West, and especially Western academics, because Western academics have still working on Max Miller's mindset. So I would request all the Indians, if they're watching it, do challenge them on social media, and also check them, because even today American textbooks are almost looks like Max Muller wrote them. All the Zieglers and people who write American textbooks, they are all copying the Max Miller's thought process with the HINDOO. Max Miller wrote Hindu as
Yes.
HINDOO. So thank you and namaste very much, Prashantji. Thank you.